listen to it.
Pottery is beautiful. This here.
We have the old, those are the what they call sleepy eye stoneware pictures.
I've never heard that term. Sleepy eye stoneware.
Yes, it's named after a chief.
Really?
And then, yes, there's embossed on those is a.
It's a maker's mark or a
Sioux chief, you know, you kind of see the picture. Everything like this one, you have a kind of a profile.
Oh, I definitely, yeah.
And that one, and
beautiful. Those are really beautiful.
The pottery here is not really native to this area. It's comes out from New Mexico and Colorado and Arizona. Places like that, but some beautiful pieces, some very old pieces. And we have the Skookum dolls. These are the dolls that were made and done for kind of tourists, and then people started collecting them. They're interesting because you'll see that their eyes are looking either to the left or to the right. And we have some specially.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Made.
Can you tell me about the ball there? Is that clay?
You know, I'm not really for sure on that. It's a
like a game ball. Is that clay? You would think, or porcelain, or
no? It would be porcelain. It would be you know, some type of rock, not so much a clay rock, but you know, can't think of the word I want to.
This is really cool.
A lot of people think it's a you know, the German Nazi sign, but it's not. It's
predates that before.
Yes,
Hitler would have been like 7 years old or 6 years old.
Way before then.
Yeah, a lot of different cultures use it. The Mayans and all.
Yes,
like all
every
around.
culture probably in the world used that particular symbol in some form or way on their art, on their you know, when they were chiseling in stone in buildings, or you might find it on blankets, or just about anything. It was a sign of good luck.
Good luck, yeah.
But the Germans used it, and of course it changed the whole meaning of it. It's what people think of. The first thing is when they see it, is they think that it's
something with Hitler.
Evilness of Hitler, yes.
Are some of these from around here?
Some of them are made around here. Now, I don't have specific dates or anything on them, but there's some pretty old ones there. We also have, this is like a piece of dice, a dice there.
I've never seen that before. That's really cool.
Now, that's made out of a
clay,
stone.
definitely, or stone?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So we have here, this is, in this case here, this is the Osage wedding coat. This kind of a tradition that dates back to the early 1800s. And what it was is that a chief's daughter was getting married, and he had gotten this wedding coat. Actually, it was an officer's coat. And so he didn't really have anything to give her, so he let her wear that, and so it kind of became a Osage tradition.
Oh, so I see the buttons on there, the officers' buttons?
Yes.
Wow, that is a good story. That is a really good story. Wow.
Here is dedicated to Marie and Marjorie Tallchief. They were ballerinas that were born in Osage County in Fairfax, Oklahoma, not very far from where you're at here in Pawhuska. Maria became America's first prima ballerina, highest paid ballerina in the world in the 1950s. She, the Nutcracker that you see today is done by, the form of it, that's the storyline of it, that's done by Maria and Balanchine, her husband, who was her choreographer. Created the Nutcracker that you watch today and see today, and she played the Sugar Plum Fairy, which is the one that everybody traditionally uses today in her dancing. Her most famous probably dance is the Firebird, which was one that really threw her into worldwide fame. And her sister Marjorie is an extremely talented lady, but she was more popular in France. That's where she lived, and she married George Skookum, who was a ballet dancer and a choreographer, and they traveled, and she was in very many ballets as well. So extremely talented family, and all from Osage County.
Wow, I never knew. I know now.
This probably dates back to the very late 1700s, very early 1800s. It's a very unique little piece here.
Like colonial period, or yeah.
Colonial piece, yeah.
Wow, this is beautiful. I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen one. A flax.
Yes.
So this was the yarn they would use is probably like sheep and wool and stuff, and they would.
It's really amazing, you know, if you can get any type of hair.
And they would twist it.
Yeah, you could twist it, and you can actually make yarn out of just about anything, you know.
Yeah.
It's just the time of doing it, but mainly sheep. That was pretty much, you know, or goats that had long hair, something like that they could shear and then do that, and then they would, you know, make their socks and
Wow.
items from that, gloves, hats. These are called order hoops, and what those were was that's how they got messages to the conductors or the engineers of the trains. And as they were passing the depot, they would have a note on one of these hooks. The round one is the oldest, and then they came out with these fork-looking ones, which the string would detach from the fork-looking one, so that the engineer and the conductor, so they usually carried two of these, and they would have the notes, and they would hand one to the engineer. As the train was going by, the engineer would slip his arm through that hoop and take the hoop, and then get the note off, and then throw the hoop out somewhere down the line there, where it would be retrieved back again from the guy from the depot. Now the other one, to save some steps, he would put his arm through, the string would detach, and so he didn't have to take the hoop itself, or
It would just come off.
it would come off, yes, and so the guy on the ground didn't have to go and retrieve it. So that's kind of, I didn't really know the baggage. It's called a baggage chair car, and the reason for that is in this back half here you would have luggage and storage, everything for passengers, and then in this front half you would have a seating area that would have a little food bar or a concession bar there that people could get drinks and things. And there were only two of these made by the Santa Fe company, and one was sold and used for scrap metal, and the other one was donated here to this museum.
So that's the one that's you have sitting out here.
Yes.
All right, we're going to see that here soon.
The only one like it in the world.
Really?
Yes, it's the only one.
It's the only one?
Yes, they made two, and one was torn up for scrap metal, and this one was donated to us.
Wow. Amazing. Great save.
We're all done by a woman by the name of Edith Aaron. Her father came here in the early 1880s as a doctor for the Osage Agency for the Indians, and she was born here on the reservation. And then later in life, well, she had married a doctor and had children. And then later in life, she found her talent of painting and drawing, and so she does quite an range of different types of pictures. Some of the people in the pictures that you see are family members, like her sons and her husband. Self-portraits of herself, this one down here and this one up here at the top.
This is her?
Are self-portraits. So she did, drawings. This is one of her drawings here, and she did several for John Joseph Matthews' book, Wakanta. Inside of it, you'll see her drawings that she did for his book.
Beautiful.
So,
I really like these.
and she did some very abstract things too. Around the corner here, you'll see some very modern things that she did. She had shows in Chicago and New York, Paris, and is quite an artist. And we have a very large collection of her work. Pawhuska was the place of the very first Boy Scout troop in the United States. They were under a British charter because Boy Scouts of America did not exist at the time. This was in 1909. Boy Scouts of America was created in 1910. And we had a gentleman by the name of Reverend John Mitchell who came here in May of 1909. He happened to be the chaplain for Baden-Powell, who had created the Boy Scouts the year earlier. And he brought with him a satchel full of Boy Scout materials that they were using over there in England, and thought maybe some of the rowdy boys here might want to be involved in a scout troop. So they had a meeting, and I'm told, or have read in old papers and stories that seeing the picture of a British boy in the uniform, the Boy Scout uniform, sealed the deal. That was kind of the thing.
Yes.
And so 19 boys joined up for the very first scout troop in the United States. Their uniforms were made in England. They signed a British charter with the Boy Scout troop there, and they would practice their drills, marching up and down the streets of Pawhuska singing "God Save the King," because that was the song for the Boy Scouts, the national song.
Wow. That is a really cool story. I did not know that.
And this is a photograph up here of Reverend John Mitchell and those first 19 boys that
Those.
Sure.
Okay, look at these light bulbs. Some of these earlier light bulbs. And some of these would be on buggies. Look at these buggy lamps.
Yes, that's what those are.
Those are really cool. I've dug a couple of these light bulbs up.
Really?
Yeah, I've got a couple of them at the house.
He showcased some of the items that belonged to Major General Clarence Tinker. He was part Osage. He was born here in this area. He was the first general killed in World War II during the battle for the island of Midway. His plane went down with his crew and was never heard of again. He's kind of another local treasure that we grew up here. The Tinker family, many of them served in the armed forces, and were, very honored to be able to honor their legacy.
Yes.
It was just a few months later, after General Tinker's plane went down in the Pacific, that his son lost his life in the battle in the Mediterranean.
So we have.
This is a case here, yeah, that's are kind of dedicated to the soldiers and people of World War One.
These tags are really cool. So this was like the very first dog tag, or like, you know, if you didn't.
Right, identification for the soldiers.
The code talkers. A little sewing kit. Wow.
Kind of a couple of unique little items there. You got your little shaving kit there. That's got a little piece there.
That is really
your
cool.
Mirror. It's got your little
lighter
piece there that
or-
carries your blades. The little metal piece there looks like a lighter, but it's where you carry your blades. And
Oh, that would carry your blades.
Yes, sir. And then you have your shaver that you put together. And then this little round piece right here, that's actually a lighter. You could, you know,
Flick it.
flick it, and then that would be your a cigarette lighter. And then these, I think, are some of my favorite, and that is the little bridle rosettes that would go on the horses as a decoration.
Are those? Wow. Those are like almost like they have like a piece of glass in front of them, and it
Yeah.
makes it look.
And that's an eagle, you know, kind of with the American colors or the little design. But we had found those and didn't really know. Those were brought back, you know, after the war.
So World War One. Those are cool looking. Oh, we got Pusker here. A long shot. So you guys have a lot in this museum.
Well, we cover, you know, there's the oil, and there's the pioneers, and the, you know, the ranchers, and the Native Americans, and you know, there's a lot of areas to cover in Osage County. We're the largest county in the state of Oklahoma, larger than the state of Delaware.
So you guys are open pretty much.
Tuesday through Saturday, it's 10 to 4. Sundays, it's 1 to 4. But you can always call us and make an appointment, and we'll meet you here early in the morning, late in the evening, or even at night.
Yeah, cool. That is really cool. You guys got to come check this out. We're going to keep going and this one further.
Black Gold was a horse that won the Kentucky Derby, and this horse was born and owned by an Osage County. It was born here in Osage County, the horse was, and the family were Osage heritage, and so one of the most famous Kentucky Derby winner horses, Black Gold. Probably don't realize that the trophy that they received today from winning the Kentucky Derby is the trophy that was finally decided on and designed and given to Black Gold as the first one, and then it's continued on since that.
So that was the model. That was
the model, yes. Before
Dang.
that, they had different models that they gave, but
They based it off.
They based it off of the first
Wow.
one, the winner in Black Gold.
I didn't know that either.
Of course, they've done a movie on Black Gold too, and books have been written, and everything else.
Wow. Let's walk through here. You got some rifles back here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of our western area. This is the area we're going to be working on and revamping a lot of this. But it shows kind of the wilder side of Osage County when we get into the bank robbers and the outlaws and you know, the people that made the papers. You probably don't know that we have an outlaw here. This is a little case on him, Elmer McCurdy, and Elmer McCurdy was not a very good outlaw. It just wasn't his best. He wasn't the best at being an outlaw. And anyway, he gets tries to rob a train. He actually robs it, but it's the wrong train. He robbed the one. He should have robbed the one that came a little later. Anyway, the posse's out looking for him, and they have a shootout, and they kill him in a barn on the Revard farm north of Pahuska here, and they take him to the funeral home, and they embalm him, and then he's there for several years because there's no family or anyone to claim him. And so this is an actual photo of him standing in the closet. They'd stood him up in a closet, dressed him, and put him up in the closet after a couple of years. And anyway, long story short is that he ends up, somebody claims him that they really thought was family. A lot of people wanted him, but they weren't giving him the undertakers. And the family, supposedly, this person says they're family, and they're going to take him and bury him. And he ends up going on tour on these sideshows. And he's first an outlaw, and then as the years kind of go by, he becomes, this is what smoking will do to you, and all of this kind of stuff. And they, showing his body. Anyway, he ends up in California in a fun house. They're doing episode of the $6 Billion Man, if you remember that TV show that came on each week. And he's hanging there, sprayed bright orange, and they actually bump him because they're going to do a shot in there, and his arm falls off, and then they actually find out that it's actual real bone, and then they do a investigation on it. And so about 60, 70 years later, from 1911, and then he's finally buried in 1977. So 66 years later, he gets finally buried in Guthrie, Oklahoma, in Boot Hill Cemetery. Yes, and there's probably a lot of stories here that I should probably know and haven't had a chance to really investigate a lot of these. Though I will tell you that this gun right here is an extremely rare gun. This was a Japanese gun from World War I, I believe it was, possibly World War II. But what is unique about this is that the serial number on the bayonet and the serial number on the gun itself match one another. That's extremely rare to have the two pieces together that match. The other thing is that when after the war, they confiscated all of these guns. There was a little flower symbol on them that the American government had, was taking off of these guns, and so many of them that you see will have that removed, but this one actually still has it on it. So, and it was actually used on the Lone Star Ranch by the Haddon family. It was Oscar Haddon had this wagon on his ranch, and so now we have it, and it's really unique.
Beautiful. I seen a guy up at the fairground, the rodeo, and he had one still going. He was cooking breakfast out of it.
Okay, yes.
And we were able to eat there.
His, it was the same person I'm thinking of. His wagon is a little older than this one. It's not quite as big. It's not. I think it's a little
it's a little bit smaller
and everything. His dates back to I want to say like late 1860s, early 1870s. But if you look in the back of it, he showed me there's a couple of bullet holes in the back of his wagon.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he pointed out to me. This one, unfortunately, as far as I know, we don't have any bullet holes. A lot of just mainly women's garments, a couple of men's things, but we have some dresses and things here that date back to the 1920s. Some of them even before that, on shoes and purses. A lot of unique little purses and things that we have found and discovered that we have. Some of these were homemade kits. You could buy a kit and actually the women could make their purses, and so we've got just little odds and end things like that.
Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah. Oh, these ads, these old ads.
So this is a pretty rare piece. This is the company that made this. They would make these by hand. This is called a box grand piano. It dates back to late 1850s.
I've never seen. It's like almost rounded or square, but
it's rectangular shaped. You know, it's not like a grand piano that we see. That
right.
Has, but
The
this
feet.
is.
Wow.
And then.
Oh yeah, you got New York right there.
Yeah, the company that makes these, put these together. And then the old Victrolas, these have been restored for us by a guy. It's his hobby to restore Victrolas. And so we've got them where we can play them a little bit here. So listen to it. Sounds pretty good.
That's cool. I like that. I like that sound.
This
That
one
is
dates
so-
back to about, I think, 1901, 1902, something like that. And it's RCA Victor. Different styles and types of washing machines that the lady would use. And then we have a lot of the different types of irons.
Ooh, I've seen this bowl before. I've seen this pattern in the creek. I've seen this too. This is beautiful. You probably think I'm like weird. Oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, that's a spoon that would, you get your bottle of milk, and the milk was fresh, so the cream would settle to the top of the bottle. If the bottle had the little caps on it where the cream would go,
Yeah.
then this would fit down inside of that, and you could scoop out your cream for your coffee, or whatever. Lots of.
That's a big one. That would have been heavy, wouldn't it?
Oh yes, Lord, those things are extremely heavy. I mean, they're an all iron stove.
Man, that would have been like, you would have been, to have that in your house, that would have been like the best of the best, or whatever, right?
Well, I tell you what, you have to hand it to the women who used all of these kind of things and grew up at that time, because, don't realize it, but you take these old wood stoves like this, the women had to know exactly how much wood to put in there and how to do it to get the biscuits to be, cooked. You get it way too hot or not. And you just kind of had to know. And they, I'm sure it took a lot of time and experience to learn it, but they could get it done. They'd cook.
I never thought about that. It was probably
pretty
way
much.
harder. You couldn't just go and turn on your.
You couldn't just put biscuits in there and just think, you had to really.
You had to know what you were doing for sure.
And you were making everything. Your biscuits you made. Taking 3 meals a day and then still having to wash and clean and do everything else. I don't know how they did it. But this is a really unique little piece. It was donated to us from our president of the Historical Society, and his wife brought this in. This you would find in your library, and you would have the local newspapers, and they would be, the sleeves would go, the sheets would go through here. And then if you say that they carried area newspapers, or maybe they might have had a copy of the New York Times or something, you go to the library and you could pull this out and you could read the local paper or the paper from another town that the library would carry.
That's cool.
That's what that is, and it's a really unique thing. This first display that you're looking at here is what we call the Ben Jonson display. It's a lot of the motion pictures and things that Ben Jonson was in. He was a local cowboy, born here, grew up here. His father was the foreman of the Chapman Barnard Ranch, one of the largest ranches here in Osage County. And his father had sold some horses to Howard Hughes for a movie, and Ben Jonson traveled with the horses out to California, and the rest is kind of history.
This is really cool.
How he handled them and offered him a job, and then next thing you knew, he was a stunt man, and then
wow,
getting small parts in pictures.
He's got his Hollywood star there.
Major pictures. Between Winona and Hominy, I believe. We call it the Edith Leighton School. It was dedicated to her when they brought it here. She lived to be, I think, 101, 100 years old, 101, something like that.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, you still.
Anyway, yeah, the desks were all donated by a person. Sorry, I don't have the name on the top of my head, but very similar to what would have been in the schoolhouse at the time. And,
wow. I can't thank you so much for giving me a tour and showing me all this stuff.
oh, you're quite welcome.